All right, so welcome to episode 16 of the Pennywine podcast. This is Mike, Jake, and Tosh, and we are about to review three beautiful movies for you all today. So here's the three. You got Perfect Blue, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and Gremlins 2 this time. Ooh. So how you been doing this month before we get started, Jake?
Good. I was just talking to Tasha a little bit before we started. I binged the Mr. Mercedes books and the show, and they're both very different but good. That's kind of what I've been doing outside of the podcast,
That's cool.
media-wise.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we've been well, I've been playing a lot of VR in the past month or so. Been playing some VR chat, right, Tosh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I got a pixel bar, behind me. I go to virtual bars now instead of real ones.
Yeah, you got a virtual happy hours, but with strangers.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
more interesting.
I'll like literally like have somebody go behind the bar and like get me a drink or whatever, and then when they give me a drink, I'll like drink out of the real one and stuff. But I'll pick up the cup inside of the virtual reality and stuff. We gotta go full immersive in it. And I even got the draft beer because I got the kegerator, so it even works out even better. I feel like that's the only
Oh,
reason I
that's why
got
there
the.
was a.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's why there was a bunch of foam on the top because you poured it.
Yeah, yeah, from CO2. I keep the CO2 level like pretty high on the setting because I like my beer to be like super fizzy,
Gotcha.
super. Yeah. So,
I
anyways,
still need to get mine.
oh,
Anyway, yeah, we
oh yeah,
can not.
yeah.
Nobody
You
cares
got
about the kegerator.
everybody listening cares about the kegerator. I don't want to hear that.
I'm done with the kegerator.
Tasha doesn't seem
Tosh
to.
is already fed up with the kegerator. Okay, so I guess we'll get into our first beautiful movie here. We got Perfect Blue. So Perfect Blue is an anime horror movie. It came out like in the 90s when I saw it when I was a kid, and I really liked it, although I didn't understand it. And yeah, I'd like to kind of give a summary here. So I'm gonna pull up. Okay, so you got two main characters I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about all the minor characters. You got Mima, who is a pop star who wants to transition to an actor. So I say she's a pop star, but in the movie, she's basically an actor for 90% of it, but she wants to be one. So she gives up her dreams of being a pop star, and she wants to be an actor. Well, her sort of manager, professional relationship, Rumi, sees her as this pop star idol and is kind of like a fan, even though she works with her. And she goes super batshit crazy and tries to drive her nuts about going back into being a pop star and like pretends to be her. And it's really hard to summarize all the nuances of the movie, but that's like the crux. So the movie kind of ends with almost like a question mark where they act like, it's very clearly, in my opinion, I've watched a lot of videos to see like what other people think, after I rewatched this, and in my opinion, I think that it's still Mima in the end, just because she like looks into the rear view and it's like she kind of smiles and does her little thing. I still think it's Mima. I think it's just there, like an Inception top, where the top kind of sways slightly in the end to show you, and like people still speculate about whether he's still awake. I think it's like one of those where they don't want to end it super definitively, so then they put that in artificially. But anyways, that's the summary of the plot, and we can kind of get into the review.
Wait, so is there a theory that they actually did like switch bodies? Like Rumi became like took over Nima's life? Is that like the theory?
Well, so in order for that to make sense, it wouldn't be that they switched bodies. It would be like that it was represented that way and it made her go crazy. So she was in the asylum and it was just showing her like, you know how sometimes when they animated Rumi, which made it a little confusing to me as a child, when they animated Rumi, she would still look like Mima, but in reality, she didn't look like that.
Right.
You know, I don't want to be mean to her, but like for an animated character, she's very ugly. But that's a you know that's another interesting thing about this movie that I wanted to definitely just one point I want to make is one thing I love about this movie is it actually deliberately animates like normal people to not be super attractive because you tend to when you watch anime movies, it's like everybody's super well drawn and looks like super attractive and like all that, you know. And in this movie, it's like you can tell the difference between the people who are super attractive pop stars and actors and just random guys and gals on the street who are like, you know, they might their eyes might be too far apart a little bit or they don't have the artistic symmetry to them. And I actually appreciate that a lot about this movie. I kind of
Yeah,
dig that.
the stalker guy was like grotesque. He was
Mhm.
like a gargoyle.
Yeah, he was like a gremlin, dude.
He was
I
not
don't
as cute
know.
as a gremlin.
I'm about to say, yeah, Gremlins are a lot
Some of
cuter.
the gremlins are super ugly, dude.
I don't
Yeah, well,
know.
I wasn't
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about
I
like
guess
the main
we'll
gremlin.
get to that.
Yeah,
But
as you say, we gotta kind of dovetail in all the movies. Uh, but Jake, I am so just so everybody knows in the podcast. I think this is relevant information, but Tasha and I consistently watch anime like all the time. So that's our other thing besides horror is we watch anime almost every day when we eat, and uh, and Jake doesn't. So I was very interested to see how Jake would react to this movie. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts. So tell me, I know you probably hated it, but like tell me about it.
I honestly didn't hate it. Like Mike said, I'm not really into to anime. Like animation in general is not like my thing. I don't mind it. Like my favorite show is The Simpsons, which you guys know. But I like it even though it's animated. Like I don't like it because it's animated. But anyway, but like I actually liked the story a lot. I thought
Sorry.
it was cool. It was like a really nice like thriller. Like if it had been like a live action like thriller movie, I would have liked it more, but that's not to say I didn't like it. I'm just saying like I thought the story surprised me by how kind of nuanced I guess it was. I really liked the kind of the subtext subplot thing about like the metaphor of like you having to like change yourself to get what you or like sell yourself out to get what you want. Like she has to do like the really awkward rape scene to
Yeah.
get like a better role. Um, but it's like I feel like they just kind of they introduced that kind of subtext, but then they just never did anything with it. It's like she did that, she sold herself out, and then she became a success, which maybe that is the point. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't pull a lot of yeah, I didn't pull a lot of that meaning out that you have because I've seen it since I was a kid, but that's a good point. Um I feel like the whole self-doubt aspect of it is relatable to most people though. Like just the fact that when she jumps ship. Oh, I don't want to forget to say this, but as a web developer, it's amazing. Like when they show some of the old computer stuff and her teaching her how to use like the internet and her getting like really frustrated as a pop star. I actually found that to be like really realistic and relatable and funny. About those old times where people would do that because I was always the person that would go over people's house and like show them how to use the internet, or they would come over my house and I'd do the same. And
I just loved how like the Nima's Room website had like a hit counter. Like, it was like how many people went to the website. Remember like
oh, I
websites in the late 90s would have that?
hell yeah, and it would show it publicly, like,
Yep.
and some people thought that the only way to like to count like the hits on your site would be to like display it like that. So it would be like the both internal and external, like that's how many visitors we get. So that's interesting to
That
me.
that was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, her getting frustrated, like www.
Oh
But
yeah, her typing out the entire or saying the entire URL and typing it out, which maybe you did have
Yeah.
to do back then, but like it was funny.
yeah, yeah, that is funny. The I don't. So there are certain sections of this movie that you sort of have to just enjoy the ride. So it's a smart movie in a lot of aspects, but in a lot of other ones, it's like you're like, what the heck? Like when they jump off of the skyscraper, or not skyscraper, but the apartment complex, and they land on this like roof, and so you see like her floating and stuff. I'm like, how did that like big chick like manage to
Right.
make that jump. So I think about those things when I watch movies, but for me that doesn't take away from it because it's kind of like adds to the creepy factor when she's like bouncing around. I still think this movie is one of the it's probably this for me, it's probably like the most frightening animated movie. And like animated movies in my opinion are not nearly as scary. They just can't be for me.
Right.
There's no uncanny valley like in animation for me. It has to be CG or something if it's going to be animated for it to be in that uncanny like thing. But I'd rather obviously have practical effects. But anyways, I'm just saying like it does really well with building up that suspense and that mystery. Like, what the heck's going on with this? You kind of think she's going crazy for a while, and that she's just seeing this, and then you realize all these scenarios. If you go back and rewatch the movie, it's like it's like a different movie. Like once you know the secret at the end, and we actually watched it twice in the same weekend. We watched the subbed version, and then we watched the dubbed version. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I think another reason I think I don't like anime a lot is the I watched the dubbed version,
Okay.
and it was just like a lot of it didn't translate right. Like the timing was off. Like there would be like weird, long, awkward pauses. And I don't know if it was because it was dubbed, but there was a lot of points in this movie where there would just be like 5 seconds of dead silence, and I'm just like, did the music track like get like corrupted or something? Why is there nothing happening right here?
Yeah.
I don't know.
People
That was just my 2 cents.
yeah, people hate it when you watch the dub of any anime, but I don't mind it. I think it's neat. Let me pull up my notes and see, but did you did any of it like make you laugh? Like was any of the funny parts or anything like that? Anything to share there?
Um, I just like I can't think of any specific jokes other than like her typing out the URL, but like yeah, I mean, I was laughing at like the old technology and just again maybe it was the dubs, but just Nima or Mima or whatever her name was, she was just the way she was like saying stuff was just she was overreacting to everything. Like she was just playing it way too big. Like when she was learning how to use the website and she was like having a mental breakdown and like screaming and like I just can't do it. I'm just like calm down, girl. Like you're overdoing it.
That's just anime, man. That's just they all do that. It's great.
No, yeah, a lot of this is just my ignorance of the genre, but like just that type of stuff I thought was funny.
Yeah. Upon the second viewing, I figured out a few things. Like I noticed that I know some of the kills were from the stalker guy, and some of the kills were from Rumi.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, and you can tell which one the killer is by the way that the kills happen. So I believe Rumi, I think she was the one that did the eyeballs. I have to watch it again. It's actually been like 4 or 5 weeks since we watched it because we watched it the same weekend that we recommended it. I'm pretty sure that right after I recommended it, after we recorded the last podcast, that's when we went and watched it. We watched it like the same night because Tasha
Is
was
the
curious
Was the
about
thing
it.
with the eyes like when she used the awl and like stabbed the shit out of that
Yeah.
guy? Ever?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
her.
But then like the other guy had murdered some people too, but he gosh darn it, he had done it. I had this together and I thought it was going to be like the most intelligent cool thing, but it's blanking on me so hard right now. So sorry guys. Yep. 0 out of 10.
So,
Worst
oh,
podcast ever.
here's a question for you. Was Rumi doing the website, the Nema's Room website, or was it just the crazy stalker?
The crazy stalker was definitely the web developer. Rumi was feeding him information about her life. that he couldn't have known without somebody close. So they were in cahoots with each other. So that's why they both murdered people. She was more of the instigator and manipulator, and he was just like a super creepy stalker. You know, you saw him defending her in the first concert at the beginning, and it's like very like white knighty, like really cringe. Um, and yeah, this is the whole thing. Like, I think that the way that they handled the stalker was perfect, and I liked seeing some of the background characters like again in certain scenarios, and just I don't know, I just recognized some of them.
Yeah, the stalker was super creepy, and the kills in the movie I thought were like really well done. Like the exploding letter, it wasn't a kill, but that was cool because I mean that's kind of like the inciting incident to where up until then it's just a normal like pop star girl becoming an actress, and then like the thing in the elevator. Um, I'm blanking on the details, but like there was a kill in the elevator, and then the kill with like the awl where she stabbed the or whoever stabbed the shit out of that guy.
I think that
There's,
was also the one when they had the pizza delivery, but I can't remember.
oh yeah, oh yeah, the one where they Nima found the bloody clothes in the closet and thought that she had done it.
Yeah.
Huh. One of the things that is in like I was just looking at the fun facts super quick on IMDb, and one of the things that they say is in the dubbed version they sing the song in the beginning in English. You know the song is in Japanese in the original one, but when the song plays on the radio later in the movie, in the background it plays the Japanese version, even in the dubbed version. So I
Hmm.
thought that was interesting. They didn't replace the audio there.
Another thing I found funny was in the beginning when they're doing their concert at like 3 p.m. I'm like, is this just a Japanese thing, or is this implying that they're not a popular band?
Yeah.
Well, they're obviously fairly popular because they're like, well, okay. Well, the thing is, they weren't that popular until Mima left, and then they started
Yeah.
topping the charts, which is another thing like that I really like because it really feeds into her insecurity about what she's gonna do. Um, and when it does that loop thing, you notice in the background of Mima's room, like things change in between the scenes and the shots, and that's why I keep rewatching it because every time I watch I notice new things about that when it keeps doing the time loop stuff. So.
Well, there's also um how Rumi set her bedroom up like Mima's.
Right, but it was like at first she didn't recognize it, but then then she did, and she was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, like the fish was actually alive in Rumi's room, but they were technically dead.
Yeah, it also made
Yeah,
me feel.
that was a little weird.
Yeah, it made me feel bad that like even though she's like basically a pop star and she's like should be doing well, that she's just got such a small amount of space. Like she's got a one bedroom, area.
Well,
But
it's probably expensive.
But it seems like that whatever management company she's using, it seems like they're taking all her money because like basically they manage the pop star group that I assume that the management company formed, and then they're like her managers for an actor. So I'm sure they're just taking all of her money.
yeah, I mean that's what they do to stars, in like K-pop style stuff. They're not wealthy like Miley Cyrus and stuff is here, even if they're as famous in their
Right.
country, because so we have a good agent system here. That's one thing that I think we do well is the way we treat our pop stars and our actors with respect, kind of.
Yeah, they need respect out of anybody.
Respect, yeah, exactly. This is like that Eminem song that he made where he's whining about being famous and rich. like, like I cannot relate,
Isn't that
Eminem.
most of his later songs?
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of weird. Like once he's at that point to listen. Anyways, getting off topic a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that I don't have anything else to say. I'm really glad that we have this podcast so that you can, so that because you probably would have never watched this otherwise. I would have like recommended it to you to like 6 months and just kept reminding you and bothering you about it. And you would have never watched it. So glad that we have the podcast.
Yeah, you're right. I never would have actually watched it, but I did. What was like when you guys made me watch Kiki's Delivery Service, and
Oh
I
yeah.
actually liked that one too. I'm sure there's like anime that I would like. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
matter of getting ready, getting the nerve to try them.
yeah. There were the shows out there. Like, there's some good shows. There's like Attack on Titan. Might like that one. I don't know.
You told me to watch Death Note, and I watched a couple of those, and I remember liking it. I just
Yeah.
never really um finished it.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it's really good. I like it. I know. Yeah, it's kind of super edge lord, but there's a lot. There's a lot of that computer type of stuff in Death Note, where it has like this is like the early internet, and this is the forums, and stuff like that. When it shows the web pages, you can kind of tell like that the show is like mid 2000s because the way the web page is designed and stuff. But anyways,
Yeah, the other thing that for Perfect Blue, the other thing that like cemented it in 1997 was like they animated like a PlayStation 1 on her
Yep.
shelf. And I
oh
was like, that's
yeah,
very specific.
I told Tasha about that before the movie even started. I was like, "You're gonna like this movie straight off the beginning because they're gonna show that PS1." But I actually remembered it as the wrong
Yeah,
console. Did
you
I say it
said
was gonna
P.
be NES or something?
No, you said PS2.
Oh yeah, I thought it was the PS2 era. I thought she was gonna like turn it on. It was gonna be like,
I
It
mean,
was
still
gonna be
do that.
like that the wizard that I just watched which was basically just an ad for Nintendo. This movie should just been an ad for the PS1.
There you go.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't have anything else to say about this movie. If you guys want to go ahead and review it and move on to the next one, I'm cool with that.
Sure.
Yep.
Go ahead and give your rating.
Okay, well, it's my recommendation. So for the genre that it's in, and for the nostalgia and like all this stuff, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to give this one, I think, a 10 out of 10. I love it that much. It's part of my childhood. I'm very biased, and I just can't think of another animated horror movie that I like better than this one. So it's like the genre one for me. So
Okay. I guess I'll go next. I like it and I like what they were trying to go with it, but I think I'm gonna give it a 7. I don't think I like it nearly as much as you, and I don't know if I would truly go back and rewatch it.
yeah, this one's more like, just so you know, I look at this as more like Midsommar than like other type of horror. So and I liked Midsommar and you guys didn't. So
It's Midsommar was better than Suspiria.
yeah, but I like those
Yeah, I
slow
guess.
paced environmental horror type of movies. But
All
go ahead.
right, Jake.
Well, first, like, you watched this as a kid with that really awkward rape scene, and you were all about this movie?
I don't remember that scene. I watched it on TV. I don't think that scene was in the movie
Well,
when I
they
watched
probably
it.
cut it if you watch it on
But I
TV.
mean, I watched
Yeah,
South
I
Park as a
don't.
child, so my TV watching was not regulated.
It wasn't censored.
Yeah, regulated. It was not censored by my parents. I could watch whatever I wanted. But
But for ratings, like I said, I liked the story. It didn't blow me away. It was a good thriller. The twist was pretty good, just because you think it's just the stalker, and then it turns out to be Rumi. It did get a little muddy there at the end. I was just kind of confused. I was like, wait, so the manager is crazy? 'Cause they kept showing her as the idealized version, the pop star version. And I was like, wait, is she just anyway? You already talked about that, but I just thought that it was a little confusing and muddy, and just the fact that it's animation, just it's never gonna be my like cup of tea. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. So just based on the story alone, I'll give it a 6. It's an above average um, like thriller movie. It's just not something I'd probably watch again.
okay, very fair. Based on like your summary there, I felt like you were gonna give it a lower score than that, but I feel like you're being nice because it's my movie. It's fine. I'm
No,
cool with
I really didn't hate it. I like thriller movies, and it was a decent thriller. It got a little weird and confusing
that. Yeah.
in the end.
Okay, well, that's cool. All right, so we're moving on to movie number two, which is Tasha's number movie. Take it away.
So I recommended Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So basically,
Sorry, that's
um,
Molly.
so basically, it's a movie within a movie. Like they're obviously in a movie, but they're making a movie as well. And Wes Craven is trying to get Heather Langenham to play Nancy one last time, and defeat Freddy once and for all. And obviously, Freddy's trying to get up into our world, so she's got her little son Dylan, and they're trying to defeat him. So, I mean, basically, that's the hit of the movie,
Yeah.
the gist of it. So,
So I don't
Yeah,
want to.
a super 90s movie.
Yeah. Okay, so
Very, very meta.
you guys are gonna be so mad at me for saying this, but
okay.
this is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie that I've seen so far. I loved it.
I mean,
I
Like,
love this one. This is one of my
okay,
favorite too.
because
so I mean, I was honest with you last night. When I was a child, this one was like my one of my least favorites. But the older I get, and the more I understand, and can be patient with the slower pace, the more I like it.
yeah. And I like the concept of making a movie about making a movie. Like, I just thought that that was kind of fresh because I've watched a lot of these. Because Tasha's such a big fan, I've watched a lot of these 80s slasher movies, and I always felt that a lot of them are samey, and I just thought this one had such an original spin. Not an original spin in a way where they just make Jason go to New York City or something stupid, but like an original spin that, that actually is good. So yeah, yeah, I like that, and I like the fact that like he's doing it because he won't make the movie. So it's like the script itself for the movie you're watching is in the movie you're watching. Uh, the kid actor wasn't very good in this movie. I didn't like that.
They didn't have a lot of good kid actors back in the day. Again, I've told you this.
I don't know if that's the truth as much as I think they've just figured out how to direct kids much better now.
Well, you've criticized him when he did Pet Cemetery as well. So
Oh, that same kid? Oh
I
yeah,
told you that
you
last
mean to
night.
that kid?
He was better here because he
I
was
mean, he was
older, I
older,
assume.
yeah.
Yeah,
And he also played in Full House, and I also showed Mike that the nurse was the old lady from Insidious, which is the
Yeah,
producer's sister.
yeah, that was
and
cool.
Shay.
Yep,
Yeah,
Lynn Shay
it
and
was
Bob
so
Shay.
cool to see her in this movie because she's in so much stuff now. She's like one of the main horror talents
Well,
at the moment, I think.
like I said, she also played a small role in the first one too as the teacher, but very small.
Yeah. I haven't seen her in anything recently, but I guess I haven't seen any movies recently because there's nothing playing at the
Yeah,
theaters right now.
Small.
maybe
Molly's showing up.
maybe she'll. I keep seeing her face pop in.
But
Maybe they'll just go ahead. Sorry.
so I think the main reason why I didn't like this one as a kid, they didn't have as many kills, as much action as they did more of a drama kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I think. Mean, I'm in the same boat as you. As I get older, I like this movie more. Um, I think the horror in this one, it actually is scarier in a way. I mean, I don't have a child, you guys obviously do, but just the fear of like all Heather wants to do is protect her son and
Mhm.
like just she she's committed to protecting her son. Like that was really like believable, and like I felt for her when she's like running through across the highway getting hit by cars trying
Oh
to
yeah,
to save her kid and stuff.
I mean that was one of my favorite scenes. Seeing like Freddy in the clouds is just like I just thought that looked so cool. And as a mom, now watching the scene when they're like in the separate room with the doctor and the two security guards, and she's like, "You have let your child see your movies," is like blaming the movies for the way he's acting.
Right.
It's just
Like
irritating.
what the hell does that have to do with anything?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love when the doctor, like when Heather's asleep and she wakes up and Dylan's gone, and the doctor's like, "Oh, I didn't want to wake you. We just took him in to get tests." And I'm just like, no doctor would ever do that.
Yeah, no,
You have to
Exactly.
tell the parent.
the medical staff is so unprofessional in this movie, like the whole time. Like when
Yep.
they do the switcheroo to trick her, like not
Oh,
even knowing that she's gonna resist like the shot and tell them like, no, don't put my kid asleep, and then they like trick her and like separate. I'm like, what? Like, how did they? First of all, how did they know that she was gonna not want her to put her to sleep? I don't know. I feel like there had to have been a deleted scene there because they had to know that that doesn't make any sense. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, the babysitter kicked some ass and like punched out that nurse for doing that, which was awesome. I like that
Yeah.
was ridiculous too, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I was like, God, she's got some bigger balls than me. She literally punched
She's
the
very committed
nurse.
to being a babysitter.
She is.
Dude, that is like the ideal fucking
She
babysitter.
was also a close friend of the family before she became his babysitter. The way she,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
She's gonna commit assault for the sake of that child. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. What's her name?
I just like, I
But yeah,
like that they had the old Freddy in it. Like he was calling them, and like he did in the first original movie, like
Yeah,
making the gestures is like I'm coming for you type deal, and
yeah. I I
and they
have
even
some.
did like the phone with the tongue.
yeah,
Sorry,
Yeah, it
go
was
ahead,
funny.
Mike.
No, 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 you're good, you're good. I had random things, so I didn't want to break your all's flow. Um, but one of the nostalgic things for me was the car had the phone in it. I remember car phones, like the taxi
The
driver
car
yeah.
phones,
had.
yep.
Yeah, and my dad had a car phone like that, and it got like better signal than phones do nowadays, like because it had the big old antenna on it. Yeah, yeah. I guess my dad
And
thought he was a
I'm
limo
just
driver
watching
because
her
he.
dial it.
Yeah.
I'm watching
Yeah.
Heather dial it, and she's like on the center console, not looking at the road. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not safe.
Everything involved with the creepy limo driver was like my favorite. So like I was laughing like when he was like bothering her about like that they're gonna be late, like he's part of the production and that he cares about that. And then she's like talking to him, and then like or he's talking to her, and she fucking rolls the window up and stuff like that. Like it's so funny to me. Like that is so rude.
There,
It's in the middle of a sentence, and she just goes. "Nee."
she was a movie star after all.
Yeah, she is. It's true. Like, yeah, it's just weird. Like that they have drivers that do that to their celebrities. Like you would think that he would get fired quickly if he was harassing people, because he was staring at her very creepily. I'm not saying he was harassing her or anything, but
Yeah.
he was very like
She,
starstruck by
yeah,
her
that's what
for
I'm trying to
sure.
say. He's like trying to pinpoint who she was. He's like, you played in that movie, with the guy.
Yeah, yeah. Or when the kid had this is another random string of Mike thoughts. When the kid had like the taped on Freddy hand thing, I thought that was funny. He had like all the
Oh
knives
yeah.
on his hands, and you're like, "Get you, bitch," or something like that.
And that's the one thing. Like they tried to make him or Freddy like possess Dylan a couple times, like what you just said with the knife fingers. Like that didn't work. Dylan was
No.
not scary. Like they were. There was a couple times when he tried to like talk really deep, and it just never sleep again.
I
It just
mean,
wasn't working.
Yeah,
the
You know.
only
cringe.
possession thing that I mean, I know this is a different one that was able to work was the second one because at least
Yeah.
Yeah,
they made it work.
And they just let Freddy be Freddy, and they didn't make him speak through like a 6-year-old child type
I
of thing.
I did like the new glove and the trench coat and stuff. I thought that made him look even more creepier.
He he had some fucking badass boots too. He had like these knee-high leather boots, and I'm like, damn, Freddy. Freddy's got style in this one.
yeah. It had Robert Englund
I
without
I
his
did
like Freddy stuff. It was funny seeing him.
Yeah, I mean, you
I did really like.
go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go Jake. Go ahead.
I did really like the redesign of Freddy, like for the actual Freddy, because his gloves or his knives were like in like melded out of his fingers like Wolverine instead of being a glove. And just the different makeup I thought was a nice touch, and I thought like Freddy was actually scary-ish. I mean, as
Well,
scary as Freddy can be.
I mean, they had to do something. I mean, I don't want to spoil too much because Mike hadn't seen the rest of the series, so they had to technically make him look somewhat different than the original
Yeah.
Nightmare series. So.
Yeah, for And that's another one of my favorite scenes is when they go on the talk show and it's like Freddie Robert Englund comes out dressed as Freddy and he's like hamming it up and like dancing and stuff and all the little kids are just loving it. I thought that was such a great like commentary on just how pervasive like Nightmare on Elm Street became and how they even say it in the movie every kid knows who Freddy is
Oh
Yeah.
and
yeah.
just it was kind of like, I thought that was a cool, or like a really cool way to reference the weight of this series,
Oh
and
yeah.
like
Yeah.
actually do something different with it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Tasha said when that scene came on that she would kill to be in that audience. She
I
would.
would. I'll be front row.
Yeah.
She would be stabbing all those little kids to
Oh yeah,
get out of the way.
Yeah.
but I don't have anything else. Do y'all have anything?
Um, my my only gripe with the movie is like I liked the callbacks to the first movie. I just felt there were too many of them. Like I picked up on a lot more of them this time, like when she's in the hospital and she's in the going into the restricted section, they're like, "You need a pass. Screw
Yeah.
your pass." And like the funeral scene was pretty much like framed the same way as Rod's from the first one, and the
Yep.
babysitter kill was a direct call. Like I liked some of those. I just felt like they did too many callbacks to the first movie.
No, I get that. Well, it's just like at the very, very end before she went into Freddy's world, they kind of redone the whole last scene basically of the first movie with her and John Saxton, her dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, the I think the movie really slows down when they leave between when they leave the hospital and when they go to Freddy's lair. I think that it's a little too long. Like the car sequence and then like all the area where she talks to the guy that didn't believe her that met her at her house. Like I feel I got the sense during after that there's a lot that could have been cut down. But I want to sandwich that with a really positive thing I have to say about the movie. And my favorite part about this movie is when they extend the set pieces when they have like the coffin and then it creatively goes into like the room, or they do that
yeah,
with the sheets and stuff. I love that. I think I could deal with that in more movies, because when I was a kid I would always have nightmares or dreams about like areas being extended in that exact way, where like for example we moved a lot, so my whenever we would, like, we didn't have enough luggage, so we would have like these trash bags with clothes inside of them. It's just like a cheap way to move clothes. So but they would be stacked up in the closet on the sides until we unpacked for like a couple months or whatever, because we're lazy. And so it would be like that when I was a kid, and I would have dreams where I sandwiched myself in between the trash bags and found like a secret hallway that went like down along the wall. And it's so that like that aspect of this movie I really really appreciated, because of thinking back to those like imagination things when I was a kid. So yep.
and like the scene, like Freddy dragging Dylan down into the coffin, like that was one of the scarier scenes in the movie, or like just that image of like being dragged into a coffin is kind
Yeah.
of scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an intense earthquake. I was like, getting sick from that camera moving. It was like
Yeah, or the last little trivia piece I'll say is like another meta thing with this movie is I in that Never Sleep Again documentary they said that they kept adding earthquake stuff into the movie because there were like actually really bad earthquakes going on in LA when they were shooting. Like a lot of the B-roll where you see like the half destroyed buildings and stuff is from a
true
legit
ones.
earthquake in
Oh
LA.
wow.
okay, that's interesting.
No,
Little random trivia.
no, I like that stuff. So
Yeah, interesting. Um, okay, I think I've said everything I want to say.
I'm good. Jake, you good? All right. So this is my recommendation. So I'm going to give it an 8. It's still not my favorite, but it's pretty up there, especially as years go on.
Cool. So I don't want to be different just to be different. Before I give my rating, though, I want to say that I like the way that they did Freddy's lair. Although I didn't know why it was like this, like building with pillars, but I was into it, and like the water spout that goes into the pool in the area with like the fire in the cage. I didn't think any of that was, you could cut out or anything. Like I thought that was like one of the best parts of the movie when they go to Freddy's lair. And yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10 as well. I didn't want to force a different rating than Tasha, but that's what I had in mind. I thought I really enjoyed this one. I'll probably rewatch this one, whereas every other Freddy movie I've seen, I've liked but not loved, and I don't think I would rewatch any of them.
So some of the layer has to represent Hansel and Gretel. If you remember, she was reading him the story. That's how they destroyed him. That's because that's how Hansel and Gretel destroyed the witch in the book.
Oh, okay.
I,
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool story, bro.
All right, Jake.
I'm also going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Triple eight.
Um, I think this was the second Nightmare movie I ever saw. I saw the first one, and then for some reason I watched this one. I think because I really like this premise. I think this is a
Yes.
super smart way to do a sequel. And I
Yeah.
think like Wes Craven wanted to do something like this for Nightmare 2, like the second movie. And New Line was like, no, we want to just do another slasher movie, and that's part of the reason he didn't like come back for a while. But I could be making that up, but I swear I heard that.
I mean,
But
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead.
But that makes sense because technically he only did the first one and this one.
Yeah. Well, the third one, or no, he wrote the
Mm,
third one, right?
yeah. Yeah, I think he wrote the third one.
Yeah, I think like it's a really smart movie. Like just there's the meta commentary of just like the movie within a movie, and even like Heather Langenkamp. In real life, her and her husband own like a special effects studio. Like her husband, the guy, I don't think it was her actual husband, but like her husband does special effects just like the husband character in the movie. So there's just like so many meta layers of this movie that apply to like the real people involved that I thought was cool. And just I thought Freddy was actually scary, and they went back to not overusing him. Like they only showed him for a little bit of the movie. They didn't show him for like the entire movie, like they do with a lot of like horror villains. But it's just it would be a 10, but it's just not like at the level of like Scream. It didn't hit that perfect like meta, but also funny, but also scary that Scream did.
Mm-hmm.
It's like proto Scream.
Yep.
It's almost there, but not quite.
Yeah. I
Yep.
think Scream's definitely a better movie, but this one's still a
Oh,
good
I love
movie.
Scream. The first two on Scream, anyways.
Yeah.
And or last for some reason I always get this and Scream 3 confused. Like I always think in this movie, in the last act, she's gonna go to the movie lot and there's gonna be the house set because that's how it
Yep.
is in
The in
Scream 3.
3D. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all ready to go on to go Gremlins?
Yeah. So I'm gonna transition. Okay. So Gremlins 2, that's Jake's movie. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so Gremlins 2, it's sequel to Gremlins, and it's again like New Nightmare. It's a very meta movie. Basically, it picks up with Kate and Billy, I think, are the two main characters.
Yeah.
The two from the first one, they now live in New York, and they both work for this company called Clamp, um, and he's like an architect, and she's like a tour guide. But it's basically the shop where Gizmo lives gets bulldozed, so Gizmo escapes, finds his way to that building, and gets wet. And basically, all these gremlins come in, and then it's just kind of a bunch of cartoonish comedy and violence and stuff that happens, and they eventually kill all the gremlins with electricity.
So I'm going, I hadn't watched this one since I was like a kid. So last night, I watched it for the first time in many, many years. And honestly, I think I like it better than the original.
I I love
Yeah.
this one. It's like
I think it's
this
better than
is
the
like the
original.
most 90s movie.
Yeah,
It's so
no,
cynical.
yeah. It's got these little funny like jab moments, like the fucking door quotes are so funny, like when they're going inside, and as they're going through, every
When
one of those is so funny.
my one of my favorite parts is when they were singing Frank Sinatra's, like, you got the one that drank the brain,
Yeah, yeah.
drink, and it was, like, all smart.
Yeah, the talking one was such a great addition to this movie. Like that was
Yes.
like the best part about it. It was so funny. But it also like when he just randomly dies, I'm like, ah, he was the one that shot the other one because he was trying to keep like he's trying to make him into society. I know it's a comedy movie, but I saw it and I was like, ah, I didn't want that one to die.
Yeah, I guess they all have to die except Gizmo, but yeah,
Yeah.
um it's just like my I really like the voiceover, like the intercom that would play throughout. There was my favorite one was like, if you drive a gray Nissan Sentra or whatever, please move it. Your car is dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ugly or something like that. Like your car is dirty and ugly.
It's like that is my sense of humor, just like completely cynical and
Yeah.
rude and just like
Passive
this movie
aggressive.
just
Yeah.
yes, this movie just has all of that.
Yeah.
You could tell this is a '90s movie because the effects on the Bat one was terrible. Like, when they
Oh
were
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
mm,
So the effects and the CG when they tried to use CG in this movie, it was fucking awful. It didn't age well at all. But I one thing that stood out to me like about this being a 90s movie was just like the fact that the way that they treated like the workplace harassment was so funny to me when his when his like boss chick was like coming on so hard for him and stuff, and I was just like, this is so weird for a 90s movie to like flip the script on like what normally is like a guy girl like power relationship thing. And I
Yeah.
actually thought that even now, like I thought that was kind of fresh and different. And I don't see that a lot in movies. And he's like totally not interested in her. I'm like, this is exactly the scenario that happens most of the time, or the opposite. So I don't know. I just found
And
that dynamic to be interesting.
just like I loved the like when she was a manager, like she told him to add all the trees to the
yeah,
drawing,
yeah.
and then when Mr. Clamp comes and says, "I don't like the trees," and she's like, I just told him the same thing." I'm like,
Yeah.
you slimy bitch."
Yeah, I bet I was gonna bring that up. Like, I was like, I bet that like made you so mad because you work as a designer. So, so like you see that and you're like, damn it.
Well, it's just like the prototypical shitty manager that just like takes credit for everything you do. I
Yeah,
mean, I haven't really had that thankfully, but just it's such a funny like relatable thing.
yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
I thought it was kind of funny that all they wanted to watch was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is what they watched in the first one and at the movie
Oh
theater.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and then it had that really meta joke that had like the Hulk Hogan looking guy.
Yeah,
That
Hulk Hogan.
yeah, I thought it was Hulk Hogan, but
Oh,
It is.
when he like he's talking to you who is supposedly watching that like Gremlins 2 in theaters in 1990, and like talking to you saying it's not going to get interrupted by the Gremlins again. I love like really meta jokes like that, you know. It
which
was-
it gets even more meta. I don't know if you knew this, but I have the VHS copy, and they actually redid that scene for the VHS. It's not Hulk Hogan. It cuts to a John Wayne TV movie, and it like
Really?
goes through a bunch of channels. So they like even made that meta joke like meta for
oh,
a VHS copy.
they should have kept that in, but I guess it was confusing people, I guess.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
it was just
oh, go ahead. Go
'cause
ahead,
it's,
sir.
like, in the theater and, like, the film breaks, and that's why Hulk Hogan stands up. So in this one, it's like the VHS tape breaks, and then it changes the channel. Like, it's
Mm.
like, I love that, like, that's such a cool little, like, Easter egg detail thing.
I thought it
Anyway.
was funny that one guy that was on TV was talking crap about the Gremlins and then they came and attacked him.
Oh, yeah, well, he was I forget his name, but he was, like, a famous film critic back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was movie
Yeah.
movie something.
I also love it when movies make fun of film critics. Like, it's technically what this podcast is a little bit. So we're like
The
very
movie
amateur film
police or
critics.
something. I think it was like the movie police or something when he was called.
Yeah, the movie police.
Yeah, I feel like we're all just gonna say our favorite little bits, but one of my other favorite bits was when it's like right in the middle of the climax of the movie, and Kate stops to tell this random story about Abe Lincoln
Oh
and her
yeah.
dad or something, and then Billy's just like, Nobody cares about this. We don't have time." Like that, and it was like a reference to how nobody liked her little backstory from the first movie about her dad being dead in the chimney.
Yeah.
Like I just thought that was such a fuck you to the first movie, or like just we can make fun of ourselves and how stupid we were in the first movie.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Precisely.
Which
I didn't.
it was made. Or sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no, no, it's okay. I didn't like the subplot of the older gentleman that wanted to get inside of the building and like them coming to visit, and I didn't understand the point of that subplot. Maybe I missed some line in the beginning that would have explained it better. But I thought any time that happened and it would pan outside the building to the married older couple, that it would kind of drag the movie
Well,
a lot and it was way less funny and it kind of killed the tone for me.
that was their
True.
neighbors from the first one.
Oh, okay. I didn't
And
recognize them. It's been a
the the
little
reason
while.
they're there is because for some reason Joe Dante, the director, always puts Dick Miller, which is that old guy. Um, he
Murray.
always puts him in his movies. So like I feel like he was just like he has to be in the movie somewhere. So
Yeah.
just
I
have
just
him
wish
come to visit.
maybe he should have had something more interesting to do than that, like been in the
Yeah.
building with him or
We
whatever.
The only thing was is like I thought when they were spraying them with gasoline at the end, where they're technically kind of getting wet, that they would multiply even more.
Hmm.
Right. Which I guess they did start to do, but I guess there's like a period where the balls have to like hatch or whatever.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why. I don't know.
maybe I'm not sure. I was just confused on that part because of, but yeah.
N- Then something else I don't know if this was intentional, but I it seems like Mr. Clamp was like a metaphor for Trump in the late 80s, early 90s. Like they showed a close up of the Clamp biography, and like the font and the layout, it was like Trump's book, like his whatever his book was
Huh.
from like the 80s or 90s. It was like that exact same design. So I'm like, are they trying to like say that he's Trump? He's like a real estate developer in New York and he's kind
Huh.
of like a pretentious dick. I don't know. I don't
What
know if
if
that was
Trump was
intentional
actually
or
in the movie since he loved being in movies back then? That would be way funnier. But it would have aged like milk like
if
nowadays,
they
but
filmed it at a Trump building, I'm sure he would have been.
yeah. But
And um, the, from a design standpoint, I love the Clamp logo because it's like a sea like squishing the earth, and I'm like, it's so funny because like that's not a positive logo. Why this? It's basically saying this company is like squishing the earth, and I'm
well,
like,
it's
that's not
so
the
yeah. It's supposed to be like wrong like that though. It's like the
yeah like
broadcast that they broadcasted when it was telling everybody they're gonna die.
Well, when I saw it, like
Enjoy life.
I saw it more as
Sorry, Tosh. I'm sorry. This is Gremlins too. It's sorry. Okay, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
when I saw the logo, I thought of more of like a C clamp as in a tool more than because that's what it kind of looked like, one of them C
yeah
tools.
yeah
See,
yeah that's
clamp.
that's what I was trying to say. It's like a clamp that it's
Yeah,
like
C clamp.
squishing earth or what.
Right.
I thought it was I liked how they kind of had a girl gremlin in this one. It was a nice change.
Yeah, and that was a funny little like the ending where the assistant guy is trapped in the bathroom with her, and then at the end he just kind of gives in and it's like, you know what, she's not that bad.
Yeah, that's me.
It made it way funnier. I was like, what the heck? I think subversion of expectation is always funny. That's why. Way to explain the joke, Mike. But yeah, I think that we've went through a lot of these, like a lot of the individual bits. It almost was like a Family Guy thing where it had like just like a bunch of skits within a movie. But I liked most of them. The flying one, like Tasha said, I didn't like, but I liked the creative uses of when they all drank the different like basically potions, and it was doing different things.
Oh yeah, you got your tarantula one.
Yeah, so they was a little bit more creative about it. And then they had like the sequence in the end where I guess they were gonna do a show or something right before they got burnt with the water. So I don't know. This is all cool. And then the police like run in, like they're just gonna shoot. Oh yeah. So after they run in and the guy slips, and then they just like have the gun and they just go and like shoot like the moving hand or whatever of the gremlin, and then like
Oh
he just
yeah, yeah.
hands the gun over to the chick that got promoted, the head of PR or whatever, and she's just holding it. She's like clearly, like doesn't know what to do with it. They just
Um,
give her the gun.
I liked at the very end how he was talking about Gizmo. He's like, we could make toys with this guy. And it's funny because they actually do have toys of Gizmo, like stuffed animals and Furbies, and
Yeah.
yep.
He's got a gizmo.
I
That's cute.
I'm holding up my stuffed Gizmo that I bought after seeing Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
That's
What
awesome.
did you guys think of the Gizmo Rambo?
I thought it was cute.
Yeah, it's cute. He's got the little
It
red
it was
leg thing on his head.
Yeah, like it's my only negative with this movie, and like I love everything about it. I just wish they would have found a way to tie Gizmo in more. I felt like he was barely in it this time.
Yeah.
Like
He was
other than the
only
Rambo stuff,
Yeah, he was only in it like for other gremlins to be mean to him. I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I felt bad for him. I'm like, oh, you mean
because
to
in the first
Gizmo.
movie he basically is like the hero. He saves the day. And in this one he does one thing and then just kind of disappears again.
Yep.
Yeah, he kills the spider. And it's
But
kind of
I'm
his fault that everything happens in that one too. Because he didn't just chill in the drawer for her to come get him, which
right.
he
And
obviously isn't going to. So I don't know what that guy thought was going to happen. He kept trying. He was so impatient. He was trying to break out after like 30 seconds. Like, what did he think was going to happen?
But at
right.
least it's not his fault that the water fell on him, though.
Yeah, the cleaning guy.
But it is kind of because Gizmo saw the water like
He could
drip
have
right next to him,
moved.
and rather than running away, he just kind of looks at it. But anyway,
Yeah, it's all Gizmo's fault, and then he barely does anything to help.
like I
Um,
get why they didn't have him as much in the movie because there was so
so
much other
many.
cool Gremlin stuff.
Yeah,
Like I get why Gizmo kind of took a back seat, but like he was so much cuter in this movie. I just wish they would have used him a little more. Like
yeah,
I don't know what
Agreed.
they changed about the Gizmo animatronic or whatever, but he was so much cuter in this
I
one.
agree.
yeah.
I don't have anything else. Do
All
you
right.
guys?
Nope, I'm good.
Oh
I
man,
could
we're at
talk for
58.
20 more hours on this.
We're at 58 minutes exactly. So if we wrap this up, we can get it right at that 60. It'd be so good. But um, I guess Jake, you get to rate it first because it's your movie.
Um, Obviously, this is a 10 out of 10 movie. Like, it's not a horror movie. Like, I'll admit that now. It's just a comedy movie. But, like, even just the comedy is so cynical and pretty much all of it works. There's a couple dud jokes, but there's just so much, like, good, like, self-referential humor. And it's just, it's like the most 90s movie. It's just meta, it's cynical, it's self-referential, and I just think it's so much better than the first one. And I like the first one, but I just think this I don't know, just everything about this movie works for me. So 10 out of 10.
So I'll go ahead and go next. I had so much fun watching it. It's like I said, I remember my brother watching it all the time, and I don't remember a lot of it until last night. So, but I really enjoyed it, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, well, shoot, you copied me because I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 as well. I love it. I laugh a lot during it. It's we had such a good lineup this time. I know Perfect View was kind of a mix, or sorry, Perfect Blue. It's kind of a mixed bag, but with this one, I think it's a solid improvement over the first Gremlins, and it 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 just had everything that I wanted out of it. Because like when coming in, I know what Gremlins is because I've seen the first one now, and it actually over delivered my expectations by a lot. Because I expected it to be about as good as the first one, maybe even a little worse, because it's typically what happens. And it was just so much better in my opinion. And yeah, yeah, loved it. 8 out of 10. Thank you for the recommendation. Super cool.
And I
In
was
fact, the
very
line. Go ahead.
I was very surprised the first time I watched this movie. Like I think I texted Tosh and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the best movie I've ever
Yeah,
seen."
I remember when you did.
This movie's amazing. Yeah. So wow, you gave it a 10 out of 10. That's crazy.
It's a good one. I love
Yeah.
this
So
one.
yeah, I'm gonna transition it to. There you go. And then so we did you see anything horror related this month that is not related to the podcast?
Just the Mr. Mercedes stuff I kind of talked about in the beginning. Um, the show the show is very different than the book or the three books. It's still good. It's just it's hard now that I've read the stories and I know what's supposed to happen when they completely change it. I'm like, why are you doing that? But
That's
it's
why
not bad.
that's why I told you to read them first. I'm currently reading Insomnia by Stephen King. It's been really good. I'm almost done with it. But other than watching, I haven't watched anything else.
Yeah, I've sort of been mostly doing like VR stuff in my free time, and I've taken up like illustrating again, so I've been drawing some. So I haven't aside from three movies a month is not a slow amount of horror for sure that we're already doing, but this month I think I was really bare as far as horror. It was just that's January for you. So. I've been playing a lot of VR chat though, and that's kind of horror by itself. So.
Never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say somebody dropped in and I blocked them in about 10 seconds because they just kept screaming the N word. So, yeah, that's
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, you're getting blocked. Goodbye forever.
So,
Yeah.
recommendations for next month?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go first because I never go first in the Rex for some reason. I noticed that when I was listening to some of the episodes,
Because
but
nobody likes you.
because nobody likes me.
I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna recommend Scary Movie 2. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had
Ooh,
a
okay.
comedy rec. So I feel like it's high time, we continue the series of that. So
I'm excited. I love Scary Movie too. So my recommendation, since next month is St. Patrick's Day,
Saint,
I'm going with Leprechaun, 1993.
I've never seen that, and I've been meaning to watch it. That's awesome.
I've seen that one.
Um,
You have not.
Yeah.
Okay, well nobody asked you.
um, I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna take another stab in the dark, and you know how they always go well
Ooh.
for me. But I'm
No.
gonna recommend Horrors of Dracula. It's from the 50s.
Hmm.
It's got Christopher Lee as Dracula. It's
Oh,
good. Like it has good reviews, but it's probably gonna be a little slow.
wow.
It is 1950, so there tend to be.
You know, I don't know if it's
It'd
gonna be
also probably be like an hour and 10 minutes.
it's gonna be hard for me to accept a Dracula that's not Adam Sandler. So
Right. I mean,
it's kind of like
Adam
with Hugh
Sandler definitely
Jackman and
influenced.
Wolverine. It's gonna be hard, to accept another actor. I'm just kidding. If they ever did cast another Wolverine, though, it'd be hard to accept because he's been playing that character for so long.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, all right, all right. So
Didn't he
yeah,
stop? Isn't he done now?
he keeps saying that, and then he keeps doing it again.
Well, they haven't made any more movies,
It's
so.
like I gotta get that money. Everybody likes money.
All right. Jake, you want to tie in your cool shirts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I if you're new to the podcast, I have some horror merch t-shirts, and uh, I have a Gremlins themed one. I have a couple Nightmare on Elm Street themed ones. A lot of like slashers and classic horror, and I designed them to try to be more subtle horror, like subtle references and stuff. So you're not walking around with like a giant blood splatter shirt. You can wear these subtle horror shirts to church and stuff, as you do.
Yeah.
But it's jakensteinapparel.com if you're interested.
Yeah. I like the shining carpet pattern one. So check that one out, guys. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for watching and have a good one. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.